Make her chase you without saying a word. Stoic Bloom. What if silence wasn't weakness, but the ultimate trigger for her desire? What if your absence spoke louder than all your texts, calls, or efforts ever could? Most men chase after no contact. The rare ones, they let the silence work for them, and that's why she never forgets them. If you've ever gone quiet and wondered what she's thinking, this video will show you how to become the one she starts chasing. No begging, no proving, just presence, purpose, and a quiet power she can't ignore. Part 1. No contact isn't the end, it's the setup. Most men believe that going no contact is the final move, the emotional shutdown, the death of the connection, but that's not what it is. Not if you understand the deeper game. No contact isn't the end of a story, it's the start of your positioning. The silence that follows a breakup or disconnection isn't just about creating space. It's about reclaiming power, resetting emotional dynamics, and forcing clarity on both sides. And ironically, the man who understands this isn't sitting by the phone. He's rebuilding his presence in her mind without saying a word. Think about it. When you suddenly disappear, you're no longer predictable. Your silence becomes a mystery. Your absence creates tension. And women don't chase explanations. They chase energy shifts they can't explain. But here's where most men go wrong. They wait in silence, but not in strength. They use no contact as a strategy, but not as a transformation. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. If you're using no contact as a tactic to get her back, you've already lost. But if you're using it to get back to yourself, to reset your emotional clarity, rebuild your mission, and break free from the addiction to validation, then you've already won. Because the truth is, you're not waiting for her to miss you. You're working so that by the time she does, you've become someone she can't reach in the same way anymore. That's how the game flips. Have you ever used silence not as punishment, but as your path back to peace? Tell us your experience in the comments. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where we don't just talk about attraction, we rebuild it from the inside out. Stoic Bloom, where stillness isn't retreat, it's strategy. Part 2. Read her moves before you respond. She breaks the silence. Maybe it's a, "Hey, just checking in," or a meme, or worse, a double like on 2 old photos. And your brain? It lights up like a firework factory. But hold on, before you jump to respond or draft a well-crafted message to keep it cool, you need to understand one thing. Not every message is a call to reconnect. Some are tests, some are habits, some are ego checks disguised as nostalgia. Your job isn't to decode every emoji, it's to observe. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Most men get trapped here. They analyze every word, tone, timing. Why'd she text now? What does she mean by "hey stranger"? Should I wait 2 hours to reply? Should I be cold? Should I be witty? All of that noise the Stoic man watches, not with judgment, but with stillness. He doesn't assume intention. He waits to see pattern, because it's not about what she sends, it's about what she follows through with. Is her message consistent? Does it lead somewhere meaningful? Or is it a blip of insecurity, quickly gone the next day? Remember, women don't always chase directly. They linger, they hint, they hover. But you're not here to play hide and seek. You're here to build reality, not fantasy. When you respond too quickly, you train her to expect access without effort. But when you pause, observe, and engage only when the energy is real, you teach her that your attention isn't free, it's earned. So when she reaches out, don't rush in. Watch the energy. Watch the follow-up. Let her consistency, not your emotions, guide the next move. Because only then, will your presence feel like power, not pressure. If you're tempted to reply faster than Marcus Aurelius could finish a thought, take a breath, take a walk, and maybe take your hand off that keyboard. Like this, if you've ever dodged a tin you're now proud you ignored. Drop a comment. What's the weirdest check-in message you've received? And for more real wisdom, with less romantic whiplash, hit subscribe to Stoic Bloom. Stoic Bloom, where self-control is sexy and leaving her on red is a form of virtue. Part 3, reignite her interest subtly. At this point, she's curious. She may not admit it, but something about your silence, it shifted the energy. She expected you to come crawling back. Instead, you went quiet and then elevated. So now the question becomes, how do you reignite her interest? Without chasing, without begging, without sacrificing your dignity. The answer, you move, but not toward her. You move upward. Start posting, but not to show off. Let your actions speak without screaming. A photo at the gym, a subtle story at a new place. Something that says, I'm living. Not, look at me, but this is me now. You're not throwing bait. You're simply allowing her to witness the evolution. Don't explain yourself. Live your life in such a way that others can't help but notice. Marcus Aurelius, paraphrase from his core Stoic principle. Here's what happens when you do this right. She starts to feel behind. She scrolls and sees growth, yours, not hers. And that gap, that quiet comparison, that's where desire reignites. Because people don't chase what's available. They chase what's evolving, what might soon be out of reach. But remember, don't force it. Don't over-curate your life like you're staging a commercial. Women feel energy if it's natural, grounded and honest. They'll sense that, and it draws them in. Your goal isn't to provoke her. It's to return to your path so powerfully that she realizes she no longer has a place in it unless she rises too. That's the shift, that's the leverage, and that's the man she can't stop thinking about. Side effects of leveling up include sudden, hey stranger texts, accidental likes from her at 1:43 a.m., and delayed regrets on her end. What did you do during no contact that unexpectedly got her attention? Like this, if you believe attraction isn't spoken, it's earned. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom and let quiet elevation become your loudest move. Stoic Bloom, because your glow-up should never depend on her applause. Part 4, build curiosity as a weapon. Attraction fades when everything is obvious, but curiosity, that's what keeps someone up at 1 a.m., checking your profile, rereading old messages, wondering, what's going on in his life, and why am I no longer a part of it? That's your edge. Most guys think they need to be louder, flashier, more dramatic to get her attention again. But the truth is, mystery creates a gravitational pull no compliment ever could. Let her wonder. Let her ask herself, is he seeing someone? Why hasn't he said anything? Why do I care more now that he doesn't? But here's the Stoic twist. You're not withholding to manipulate her. You're simply no longer oversharing to feel significant. He who speaks much often speaks in vain. Epictetus, you don't owe the world constant updates. Let your silence become the new filter. Those who matter will lean in. Those who don't, let them drift. If she reaches out again and you're vague but respectful, kind but detached, it triggers intrigue. And when intrigue kicks in, imagination does all the work for you. Remember, desire thrives in the unknown. You're not cold, You're just no longer predictable. And that makes you magnetic. So don't explain where you've been. Don't justify your growth. Let her see the change without having full access to it. Curiosity is the slow burn that reignites attraction, and it burns a lot longer than any apology. Ever posted something ordinary and got a reaction you didn't expect? That's curiosity doing its job. Drop a comment if you've ever had someone get more interested the moment you said less. Like this if mystery has ever worked better than effort. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where less talking leads to more chasing. Stoic Bloom, where your silence raises more questions than your words ever could. Part 5, emotional balance is your superpower. You've made her curious. The silence is working. She starts to orbit your world again. And now, this is where most men ruin everything. They get a little bit of attention and immediately crash the plane. One message from her, and suddenly he's back to typing paragraphs, back to checking her stories, back to obsessing over tone, emojis, and whether LOL means she still loves him or not. Brother, don't let a moment of contact undo months of composure. Because here's the truth. The moment you lose emotional balance, she loses interest. You want to stand out? Stay centered. Be the one who doesn't flinch when she flirts, who doesn't get giddy when she replies, who can hear "I miss you" and still say, "I hope you're well." That's power. That's restraint. That's rare. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose how and when to care instead of letting her attention dictate your direction. It's the difference between being a man she connects with and a boy she controls. So when she texts, smile but don't spiral. When she compliments you, thank her, but don't let it validate your worth. Your heart can feel, but your mind must lead. Because the man who keeps his peace when emotion floods the room, that's the man she'll always remember and quietly regret underestimating. If you've ever reread a message 14 times before replying, take this as your sign to breathe, sip water, and remember you're not 16. Drop your favorite self-control moment below. Flex that inner peace. Like if you've ever stayed cool when your old self would have panicked, subscribe to Stoic Bloom and learn the art of calm that makes people come back confused. Stoic Bloom, because the man who controls his emotions controls the room. Part 6, let her earn her way back in. She's showing interest, messaging more, maybe even dropping hints like, "I've been thinking about you," or "I miss how things used to be." This is the moment you've been tempted to wait for. But here's the paradox. You're no longer the same man who would have accepted her back so easily. In the past, her attention would have made you melt. But now, attention is just that, attention. What matters now is effort, consistency, truth. Because here's the part nobody tells you. When she walked away, she created a fracture, a crack in the trust. And if you let her walk back in without requiring any effort, she'll subconsciously assume it wasn't that serious to begin with. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Seneca, that imagined version of her return, the one where everything is fixed with a text or a kiss, that's not real. Real reconnection takes more than nostalgia. It takes earned access. You've done the work. You've stayed silent, leveled up, found peace. You've learned to value yourself more than her attention. So now, if she wants to be part of your life again, she doesn't get a front row seat just because she misses the view. She gets a chance to earn trust, to show up, to invest, not just reappear. This isn't revenge. This is restoration. It's respecting your own growth enough to not let someone bypass the toll gate after they chose to exit the highway. Let her feel the shift, not because you're cold, but because you finally know what you're worth. And what's rare, what's valuable, what's healed, it isn't handed out. It's earned or it's lost. Part 7, be the man she can't replace. There's a difference between a man she misses and a man she can't replace. Most men focus on being missed. They want to be remembered. They crave to be thought of. But that mindset keeps you stuck in her emotional economy, still dependent on her reaction. The Stoic man doesn't want to be missed. He wants to be irreproducible, not because of ego, but because of evolution. And that kind of man, he's not defined by what she once liked. He's shaped by what he became after she left. You want to know what makes a poem irreplaceable? It's not flowers, not perfect replies, not trying to be everything she wants. It's the man who builds silently, who improves relentlessly, who operates with direction and clarity, even when no one's watching. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus. Become the man whose purpose can't be paused for affection. The one whose presence brings peace, not pressure. The one who inspires her, not just emotionally, but intellectually and spiritually. She might date again. She might even move on for a while. But when the storms come, when the masks fall off, when life tests her, she will remember the way you stood. Calm, consistent, whole. And that memory, it won't be nostalgic, it'll be humbling. Because you were never just a moment. You were a mirror of everything she didn't know how to grow into. You weren't just hard to replace, you were the man she never believed she could lose. Until she did. Part 8. Control your emotional response when she returns. She finally reaches out. After days, weeks, maybe even months. There it is. The message, the call, the "I've been thinking about you." And in that moment, your heart might skip. Your breath might shift. Your mind might start spinning 100 scenarios. But this is the test. This is where boys break and Stoic men rise. The version of you she remembers would have replied in seconds. He would have over-explained, overcompensated, over-invested, just to prove he's still worth it. But now you're no longer reacting from desire. You're responding from self-respect. If someone does wrong, it's their problem. Your only concern is not to join in the error. Marcus Aurelius. So when she returns, ask yourself, is this genuine or is it guilt? Is she seeking connection or comfort? Is this about you or her own emotional chaos? Your answer doesn't lie in her message, it lies in your clarity. You don't need to ignore her, but you do need to protect the version of you that took months to rebuild. So if you respond, do it with presence, not pressure. No rushed replies, no desperate curiosity, no trying to recreate what once was. You've changed. Let your tone reflect that. Let her feel that your peace isn't negotiable, that your boundaries aren't flexible, that her return isn't a reset, it's a re-audition. Because if she comes back, she's not picking up where she left off. She's meeting someone stronger, calmer, clearer. Someone who no longer needs her attention to validate his evolution. Has someone ever come back expecting the old version of you and met someone they couldn't manipulate? Tell us your story. Like this, if you've learned to stay cool under emotional pressure. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where we train emotional discipline like it's a superpower. Stoic Bloom, because the calmest man in the room is always the one in control. Part 9. Inspire her to join your vision. By now, if you've held your silence, leveled up, stayed emotionally grounded, and refused to fold, she's watching. But watching isn't enough. If you want her to truly chase you, not just check in, you must offer more than presence. You must offer a path forward, not with her at the center, but with you at the center, and her inspired to earn a place within that vision. This is the shift from reactive to proactive, from "I hope she comes back" to "I know where I'm going. She can walk beside me or watch from behind." So what does this look like in practice? You start talking about your goals again, not to flex, to focus. You share ideas, values, direction. You speak less about us and more about who you are becoming. When she hears the conviction in your words, when she sees that your life has a direction that doesn't orbit her emotions, she'll feel the pull. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because you've become impressive by nature. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. The mistake many men make when she returns is trying to pick up where things left off. But your life isn't a paused movie. It's a forward-moving journey. And she's not your purpose. She's a possible companion. Let her see that your world is rich, full, vibrant, with or without her. That's not arrogance. That's truth. And truth, when lived with clarity, has gravity. If she's the right one, she won't want to lead it or reshape it or control it. She'll want to contribute to it because she sees a man who already knows where he's going. Part 10. Self-worth is the final power. This entire journey from silence to self-mastery has never been about her. It's always been about you. Because if you don't recognize your worth, every silence will feel like rejection, every message will feel like validation, and every return will feel like salvation. But when your sense of self is rooted in truth, not approval, you stop chasing people and start choosing peace. She might still message, she might still linger, she might still try to walk back in. But by now, you're no longer asking, does she want me? You're asking, do her actions align with the life I'm building? And that question alone changes everything. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. Seneca. Let your worth become your final fortress. Let your silence echo clarity, not confusion. And let your life become so aligned, so strong, so deeply meaningful, that any woman who returns understands this simple truth. She is not your source. She is either in harmony with your path or respectfully outside of it. That is self-worth, and it is your final, unshakable power. If you've made it this far, you are not like most men. Most men skip the hard truths. They chase noise. They scroll past silence. But you stayed, you listened, you reflected. That means you're ready, not just to understand women, but to understand yourself. At Stoic Bloom, we don't offer tips to manipulate emotions. We teach you how to master your own. We don't teach you how to get her back. We teach you how to never lose yourself again, no matter who walks away. This is more than a channel. This is a sanctuary for those who are done being reactive and ready to be grounded. So if you felt something shift in you during this journey, let that be the beginning. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, not just to be wiser in love, but to be stronger in life. Join a brotherhood where philosophy isn't just read, it's lived. Because the next video might not just change how you handle her, it might change how you handle everything. Stoic Bloom, timeless philosophy, unshakable masculinity, modern discipline. Become the man no moment can break.